And welcome to the 3 Points of Articulation podcast, Bone Crunching Sessions. I'm your host, the big tasty Jamie Wills, and joined today for episode 3 of Bone Crunching, we've got a Hasbro legend. We've got the 3 Mile Island's favourite son. You might know him as Adam Bomb. You might know him as Wrath. You might know him as the Night Stalker. You might know him as half of WCW tag team KroniK, but you will now know him as Bryan Clark. How are you doing, Bryan?
I'm doing very well, brother. How you doing?
I'm lovely. It's raining over here in the UK. Obviously, you're based over in the US over there. How's it over there?
Well, I'm in Arizona, and it's a desert, so we never get any rain. So I would be happy to take some of that rain, anytime, man, because it's just so hot right now. I mean, 110, 112,
That's not ideal. I sweat in cold, so don't know anything like that. So yeah, the main reason we're having a chat today, one of the main reasons is your Chella figure coming out as of today, as we're recording. Very exciting times for you. Very exciting times for us as wrestling figure fans. How did the deal come about for that?
Well, I was actually contacted by a couple of toy companies about getting that an action figure made, a repo because a retro because it's so popular right now. And I actually was able to obtain my trademarks for Adam Bomb, for Wrath, and for KroniK, which is really hard to do. But I set this in motion a few years ago. And I was able to get them for the action figures and for some other types of merchandise, like this, for example, this Bomb Squad shirt here that I'll plug. But I was able to get those, and that was a big step in the right direction. So I obtained those through my attorneys and my trademark attorney. And so then some companies were talking to me, some U.S. companies and Chella in the U.K. And I sort of went back and forth, but man, Chella they just were real receptive to all my ideas, because I'm real hands-on from merchandise that I produce, like all this stuff. Every single thing that you see, I did. I put together the fonts, the colors, all were my ideas. All this stuff was, and so I'm real hands-on like that. And I am the same way with the figures. And they just like I said, they were real receptive to everything. And then also for future stuff that we can talk about down the line. But they just been great. So I to me, it was a pretty easy decision after I talked with the U.S. side, and then with UK, I was like, I'm going with Chella, no doubt.
No. And that's one thing that we had Joey Knight on the podcast a few weeks back, and one thing he said was that it was incredible how interactive they were and just how nice of the people they were, which you don't really get from sort of relatively big companies. So it's good to get in there with the newer ones. And Chella Toys are sort of making waves at the moment. So it's good to hear that they're lovely people as well to go with it.
Yeah, they've been great. Yep.
So the actual merch, you touched on, you do all the designs, you do all the the fonts and everything involved on there. Some of the t-shirts that you have are incredible. I mean, toyetic is a word that we like to throw around, but you actually were made for a toy, weren't you? And made for this colorful.
Yeah. And so I just sort of bounced off of that a little bit. I can be, and I talked to another guy, some friends of mine that we were talking about ideas and stuff. And like, I can be at the gym and working out and doing my cardio or whatever I'm doing, and I can come up with an idea for a shirt, like I just did just a couple of days ago. I've got a complete new design I want to come up with, but I have a graphics person over in California, but I give him everything that I want him to do, and then he does the graphic ends of it. But as far as like the concept of it, the whatever the slogan is, or the whatever I've got in mind that I want to put on that shirt, then I pitch it to him. But it's already there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I've always done that, I enjoy it. If I didn't like it, it'd be one thing, but I think it's real cool to come up with all these different ideas, and that's what I did. That's how I come up with the whole t-shirt designs. I've got 19 shirts. I think 19 is the number right now at Pro Wrestling Tees in the U.S. And I've got like 3 pages of different merchandise at Wrestle Merch Central UK. So I've got those bases covered so far.
Well, merch is so important these days, isn't it? I think it's the sort of thing that I know current wrestlers make a lot of money off merch, as well as people that sort of just trying to make either a quick buck from being wrestling for 5 minutes or being with AEW, or people that sort of veterans of the sport, should we say. So it's so important to have that hands-on side of things, as well as you look in the background, you got your Adam Bomb foam footballs there. I mean,
those are, and everybody loves those things, man. They have done very well, and I'm humbled by the fans anyway, with all the way that they are the best, man. I've said it before in other previous interviews, but man, pro wrestling fans, they don't leave your side, man. They stick with you through thick and thin, man. They're great. And that's why I enjoy doing appearances and those kind of things. Being very interactive on the internet, all of it. It's all good.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's just as a child, you're gonna stick in someone's head, aren't you? How the face run. You're throwing the foam balls out towards the end of your face run there, weren't you? So okay. I think they're quite a lucrative item back in the day, by all accounts, weren't they? They're quite hard to get a hold of.
Yes, until I came out with this reproduction, and I did just 100 of them. So each are numbered and signed by me, and so they'll know they have the one of the official ones.
That's awesome. So speaking of the run through WWF and many of the Hasbro figures, also you had a green card series, which is one of the most sort of lucrative, elusive figures, especially over here in the UK. I say once again, it's toyetic, isn't it? It's the most. If you look at that, you think I have to have that figure. How much input did you have onto that?
Actually, on that one, I had really none. They just said, I found out I was going to have an action figure, and then they did it. I didn't have any input on it, really. They just sort of went with what they were seeing as looking at the character, and then putting it together. Whereas, like with Chella, I had a lot of input. I did, with Chella, like if you compare the two figures, Chella is just so much better because the goggles actually come off. They remove, and then you have the glowing eyes under that. And if you notice, I told Chella last minute, I said, don't forget the gloves, and it didn't have them, and they did it. And so this one has gloves, where the original was supposed to have gloves and did not. And of course, it didn't have the removable goggles also.
Yeah, I think that's one big thing with Hasbro is obviously a lot of the guys back then had a few accessories, but one thing I thought that were missing from the Adam Bomb was the removable goggles, because that was quite an important part back then. So yeah, it's good to see that the Chella comes with that. And I think the artwork for it, when that was revealed, was incredible. Brian Tippany does the drawing to them. Is a great artist.
Yeah, and with his, I think it was their idea. I don't think it was my idea, but I thought it was a great idea. It was them going with the Survivor Series colors, it's different, so the original red and yellow, change it up. There were a few different times I wore a few different colors. But those two were the main colors, but there were a couple of others during the time. But yeah, I like this. I like it. It's almost looks like a neon, sort of a lime green. And so, yeah, I think that's a good choice.
Right. I think the backing card as well looks incredible with the figure on the card. We've seen a few images released the last couple of days, and yeah, it pops from the card. It's incredible. So the actual Gorilla Press movement you've got for the figure. So the figure's in a Gorilla Press slam position. Obviously, the original Hasbro one was not in that position. It was more of a Mr. Perfect sort of suplex position. So,
okay. Now that you said that, major wrestling figure podcasts, Brian Myers and Mike.
Matt Cardona.
Yes, their show. Okay, I did it probably a month ago, maybe less. And they told me, and I did not know this. They I think maybe it was Brian told me that figure is actually Mr. Perfect with the atom bomb outfit.
Repaint, yeah.
Did you know that?
I knew that from watching the show.
Okay, yeah,
they had a full breakdown of the Hasbro histories.
Yeah, they're on top of their game. But I didn't know that, and I thought, wow, all this time there's Kurt.
Well, it's an honor, isn't it?
I love Kurt, man. He was great.
Yeah. But yeah, I think with that figure, I think that position, it was always my favorite kind of figure, because you can do a lot of different moves with it. So it's certainly not a bad thing to be a repaint of Mr. Perfect.
No, absolutely not.
Lovely it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, Survivor Series 93 is where the outfit's from. It's quite a well, from my childhood anyway, it was one I had on VHS, so it's always good. Adam from the podcast went to watch you in Blackburn in 1984 in March, where you wore an almost identical outfit, and he seems to think that that's where the figures come from, but I don't think it is.
Yeah, well, I mean, I like I said, I worked in the UK so much during my time there. I spent so much time overseas with you guys versus home. It was crazy. But when I was in the military, I was stationed in Belgium, so I'd had a taste of Europe prior to wrestling, and I loved it, man. So it was, and I really can't wait to go back, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think it'll be fairly receptive if you come back over here now, which is good. So obviously, when you were over here and you're in the UK, what was your favourite town to go to? Did you have a favourite city?
We would do like 12 to 15-day loops in succession. We would start through Germany and roll through UK, London, all through Vienna, Austria. Sometimes we would start in Portugal and then bounce around. It just was all over the place, honestly. Zurich at times, up in Switzerland, just a little bit everywhere. But I love Germany, love being in the UK, and Austria, all really, and Scotland, of course, way high up on my list of places that I love. Yep.
I think Scotland is just a tad colder than Arizona, I think.
That's okay. I'm mostly Scottish anyway, so I can handle it.
Yeah, so it's a name by Bryan Clark. It's quite a Scottish name, isn't it? So obviously so you go from WWF, you go to Hammerlock from WWF into the UK, and then from there into WCW. Am I getting the timeline correct?
That's just about right. When I left WWF on my own accord, there was no, I left because I'd had enough. And so, so I had they had like a no compete clause, which was a little pretty ridiculous if you think about it, telling you cannot work. So I went to work at Hammerlock, and it was fun, man. It was really fun. The guys I worked with, it was a little bit different style, man. We were doing some stuff through the tables and a little bit of everything. But I had a good time. I enjoyed it, really did. I'm even have those guys that are on one of my groups that I always share stuff with, and they have like a fan group, and so it was a good time. I enjoyed it, and then from there, of course, I signed with Eric Bischoff and WCW.
So it must be crazy to go from WWF, which is quite quite regimented in a way, isn't it? It's quite restricted as to what you can do because you have to go through the powers of be, to then go to a relatively smaller promotion in the UK. Was it more free range over here because you sort of
yeah, well, I mean, they had ideas of what they wanted to do, and I was open to it. I had been in a smaller territory prior to signing with WWF, which was called Smoky Mountain Wrestling, which was ran by Jim Cornette. I'm not sure if you ever heard of it or not, but
yeah,
I worked there, so I knew what it was like being in a smaller promotion. So it was easy for me to adapt to it. It was not an issue at all.
Perfect. So yeah, Smoky Mountain Wrestling, sort of a lot of the territorial guys come up through there, didn't they, in the early '90s? So
Yeah, there were a few guys that really had really big careers coming out of Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Jim was very good to work for, and he helped me a lot. Yeah, so absolutely.
good stuff. Hats off to the guy. A
Yeah.
lot of controversial opinions nowadays, but he certainly holds his own. Yeah.
Yeah, but we're talking 92, 91, 92, 93. That's it was different then.
Mm.
I think Jim was trying to prove, and he did, that he could run a company and be successful, and we were, because even though it was a small company, we were selling out some a lot smaller areas and venues and stuff, but still some of the places were packed, and it was like I said, a very regional program. It wasn't like it was all over the country. It was just a very small market, but it did real well.
It was a mix of characters as well, because obviously you had people like yourselves there, and you also had people like New Jack coming through a bit later on, which the blend that you're going to get something for everyone, really, aren't you? So I'm sure you've probably learned a lot. I'll work on these Jim Cornette.
Also, you forgot about Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
and Kane.
And Canyon, did you say?
Kane.
Oh, Kane. Oh, of course. It was the Unabomber.
That's it. Yep. He came in. I'd just left, but he came in right around that time. Yeah. So there's a lot of people that went through there.
Because I think I don't know if he had a match with the Undertaker around that sort of time when he was in Smoky Mountain as well.
It was not me. It was somebody else.
No, it was Kane. It would have been.
Yeah. Okay.
Kane and Taker before they were Kane and. The Undertaker was me, Mark Callis. I think they had a square off in Smoky Mountain or one of the regionals anyway. So a lot of those old footages are now coming back into light because a lot of people are sort of doing a bit more digging. So it's good to see.
Yeah.
So yeah, Eric Bischoff gives you a call and you signed with WCW. Right. So how's that sort of, how did that come about and how did the transition?
Well, I was pretty much, I was a free agent at the time. I could have went to Japan or anywhere really. But I lived in Atlanta, and of course that's where WCW was based. And they just offered such a good deal that, and I felt like I was finally being rewarded and appreciated for all the, I was on with Vince. I was on the road for 280 or 90 days a year versus coming to WCW. I was flying coach and 3 or 4 to a car, 2 or 3 to a room. It was just like night and day for the time period as far as how I was treated, and it was an easy deal for me. I just said, yeah, we came up with the numbers I liked, and I signed my first 3-year deal with Eric. So yeah, like I said, I felt like it felt like I was being rewarded for all the hard work I had done by WCW. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. The fruit of your loins, I think they say. Something
like
that, yeah. So you come through with, so everyone's used to seeing you as Adam Bomb, as a face, a big friendly Toyota guy, and you come through in WCW as Wrath, who, once again, you said before, was sort of night and day, still very Toyota. He's still very relatively colourful. Who pitched the idea of Wrath and how did that come about?
Well, Eric wanted to do like a Mortal Kombat type gimmick with a couple other guys, and then asked me to be a part of it. And so I came up with the name Wrath because it's one of the 7 deadly sins, of course. And so it sort of fit right in with the Blood Runs Cold angle that they were doing at the time and the other guys. But it was a great outfit, a really good look. It could have gone a lot of places, but the fact that the NWO had hit about the same time, it sort of got watered down, and it really didn't. It still did some good things, but this was just so, there were so many people that were involved with the NWO and where we were at. It sort of just got watered down, and then basically dissolved. And then when it did, I had a meeting with Eric, and I just pitched the idea of let me do Wrath my way, my version of Wrath, what I think it would be. And so I sort of combined, if you look at the second version of Wrath, I sort of combined Wrath and Atom Bomb. I merged them a little bit. If you look at the singlet and stuff, it's the same, yep, the same look and everything. But the difference was that I came up with that pump handle meltdown finisher.
Oh, okay.
And so then once that got rolling, I went on like a 7 or 8 month undefeated streak. And so that thing really started gaining steam and momentum by just doing a few little things differently. And I knew I could make it work. I felt I had the ability, the athletic ability, the skill, the training, all that stuff that I've been doing to make it work, and it did.
And you had the name as well by that point, obviously, because you've got the name. Obviously, then you because it sort of coincides a bit towards a collision with Goldberg. Obviously, I think that was the angle they were sort of leaning towards on the actual program itself. So, what happened there? Was it ever pitched to you, the idea of you versus Goldberg, or did Bigelow get in the way?
We had Eric and I had talked about it, and I think that was really where they were headed with it. But something happened along the way, and they decided to. They wanted to. Bill was undefeated also, so they wanted to beat Bill, and they also wanted to beat me. And I understand the fact that you cannot go through your whole career undefeated. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I get that. But if someone's got so much steam on them and they're doing so well with it, let it run its course. But they had decided somewhere along the way to make Kevin Nash be the one that beats Bill. And in order for him to beat Bill, he had to beat another undefeated guy to make him look strong enough to beat Bill. And I was that person. And so that's sort of the way that flowed. Yeah.
So it's almost like Kevin Nash worked for the creative team, isn't it? That's
hey, you never know.
So obviously you got a figure in WCW, which I've had as a child, I've had as an adult as well. But you also had a figure that was unreleased as well from there. So obviously going into the KroniK years, you and Bryan Adams, sort of how did that come about, and how did you feel about being in a tag team rather than a singles guy?
Well, the way it came about is I actually tore my ACL coming off the top rope, which I've done hundreds of times, but just one night, for some reason, it happened. And so I was out for, 6-7 months recovering. I had major surgery. And I was ready to come back as Wrath. And about the same time, Bryan Adams was working WCW and Japan. And so they gave him a little bit of time off for him to come back at something else. And he called me and pitched the idea of us being a tag team. It didn't have a name or anything, of just us being a tag team. And so the first time he called me, I just said, I'm going to just re-heal, finish up healing, and then come back as Wrath. And then he called me the next week. And so he kept talking to me about it. And I was just like, you know what, maybe this might be the right time. And so we said, okay, we agreed on it. And Vince Russo was in charge at the time. And so we discussed it with him, and he liked the idea. And we basically, I'm trying to remember exactly how the name came about, but I know that we did like a little poll of a group of fans. They pitched a bunch of names to us. And I know it's a crazy way to do it, but it was no harm.
It's the best way to do it. You're going to get interaction then, aren't you, with the fans?
So we said, okay, the KroniK, but they spelled like KroniC. And I was like, well, wait a minute. Why don't we take the K and spin the K like the band Korn and make it KroniK? And so that way it has a dual meaning. I understand the meaning of with the smoke and stuff, but I'm not a smoker, neither was Bryan, but we were playing off the dual meaning. It could be chronic beating, chronic destruction, whatever, but it could also mean KroniK 420, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it worked both ways. And it didn't hurt us at all. So yeah, that's how that came about. But once we got together, man, there was no stopping us. I mean, it was just like I couldn't have had a better partner ever. I mean, I just got lucky, man, with him calling me, I think, and for us to get together because we have so much in common. We're both military veterans, both 6'6", 290 plus, both could do everything imaginable. So put us together, and who's going to stop us? Well, nobody.
Exactly, yeah. And you're both called Bryan. So
exactly, Bryan and Bryan.
What could you have thought?
And we worked out together, we traveled together, everything. So he was a great friend, great person, great road partner, which makes all the difference in the world. One of the funniest guys ever, in my opinion. I mean, he could have me rolling in the floor laughing. I mean, he was that good. Great impersonations of Vince, everybody, you know. And he would rib people too, you know. He was as good as Owen, believe it or not, but he just was real silent about it. So yeah.
The worst kind, some people say.
Well,
you don't know they're joking.
None of them were so bad that it was, you know, it was nothing horrible, just real funny, really.
Yeah. You could say you're on cloud 9 then, which is a Bryan Adams reference.
Yeah.
It's good to see. So WCW obviously gets bought out. I think you were injured at the time, I believe, during the buyout. Is that?
I had 30 staples across my head. I was in the hospital from the concussion. Animal caught me with a steel chair. I got shot into the guardrail, and Animal was coming through the crowd and was going to wrap me with the chair. Well, he was full speed with the steel chair, and he caught me with the rim, the hard rim. Yeah, and so he just laced me open with it, and it sounded like a gun went off. It was so loud. And the announcer even popped and sold it. And I actually thought a fan had threw a soda or something on me, or Coke or something.
Because it's
what is this? And next thing you know, I'm just pouring blood. And so, you know, he called to check on me. Of course, good guy. It was a total accident. And but yeah, I was out with a concussion. Bryan was out with he had an emergency appendicitis. So we were both out when the purchase was made.
So obviously from there you got me thinking, that's my old employer. What's gonna happen to me, basically? So it must have been quite scary times for you guys.
Well, it wasn't scary. I had already planted the seed. Once we found out, I told Bryan, I said, we're going to Japan. This is the time to go to Japan and dominate. And that would happen, but it would happen just a little bit later because Bryan was friends with Taker. And I guess maybe he talked him into coming up or whatever. But see, Bryan left Vince the same way I did. And even when I got there, I could feel that underlying heat. It just didn't feel real smooth. You know what I mean? Yeah, you didn't really trust kind of thing. But we only signed for 1 year. So it really sort of didn't, it mattered, but it didn't. And then of course, when we got there, they didn't do the things that they said they were going to do. Big surprise, right? So we sort of knew from the beginning, just like what Bryan thought that, hey, this is going to be really good. And I'm thinking, okay, well, we'll see. But we're partners and we stick together, and so we said, okay, we'll do this. But even when we first got there, they put us with Stevie Richards as a manager. And I've told this before, but I have to tell you that I remember Bryan looking over me and telling me, he's like, this is not a good sign. and nothing against Stevie, because Stevie is a great guy. But Bryan's point was that it doesn't fit with us. And it didn't. We didn't need a man.
They don't get you, yeah.
We didn't need it. And so they did that. And then they hot shot us into a pay-per-view, just like within a week or less. And at the time, we had been out of the ring for over a year. We'd still been working out, training and stuff, and some ring time. But it's like anything else. When you have time out of, if you're a guitar player and you play the guitar every day, well, then you stop playing for a year, you're going to have some rust, you know? And so you've got to get back in the ring and work. And I suggested, I said, why don't we go on the road for a couple of weeks before we jump into this pay-per-view? Oh, no, this will be fine. We'll do this. Well, come to find out, Kane has a big staph infection on his elbow. Taker had a shoulder issue. I'd had a neck issue, but I was just still going to go with it. And then Bryan had some back things, but all that stuff could have been worked out a little bit if they'd give it another, even a few more weeks, and let Kane heal up, let Taker heal up, let us get our feet back in that WWE style with the ring difference. Just that little thing. So it didn't work out, but the best thing that happened is that we finally got to go to Japan. So that was the, and you see back here, the All Japan Tag Team titles, the absolute pinnacle of our career. And even more, I say more so, but just such a strong point with me is that I was and always have been a major Stan the Man Hansen fan. And when we won the titles in a massive sold out arena in Sapporo, he presented us with the championship titles.
Stuff of dreams, isn't it?
I was like, man, it doesn't get any better than this. This is it. I mean, the ring was full of streamers coming down. It was like snow, man. It was absolutely amazing.
I imagine it probably felt like you were on KroniK at the time. Was that energy you would have?
Yeah, and I hit the Great Muta. I hit him with the meltdown and beat him, and that won the titles.
So he won the tag titles twice in WCW, but as you said, the pinnacle of your career in Japan. Yeah, they didn't change the tag titles around that time as often as the WCW ones, did they? So it meant something back then.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and it meant a lot to us. I mean, I just like always, I kept thinking that's where we needed to be. That's where we need to be, and it seems to me that I was right about that. And they were the fans, even though they're a different different type of being receptive. They were receptive to us, definitely.
Oh, perfect. It's good. It's good to if you hit that pinnacle.
Yeah.
You're not going to replace that, are you? So it's sort of a career highlight would be in Japan for you guys. It's good to reach that. So we need to put back a little bit back to the Chella, which that's one of the main things. So also we got the Adam Bomb figure coming out, as you said. Chella have a few more things in the pipeline. Anything that you can?
Well, yeah. That was, like I said, Chella is very receptive, and we have great talks. And like I said, I purchased all the trademarks, and I did that even as far back as 2001 with the KroniK trademark. So I purchased it back in 2001, and then again a few years later, and I've kept it. But that is what I'm hoping the next direction is, because one, Chella has not done a tag team. Two, they never made a KroniK tag team, and there are a lot of people that are constantly asking me about it. And so my hope, and as we go down this road, is that the next set would be the KroniK tag team champions, maybe even do it as the All Japan with a belt, not just the tag, but with those belts, because that would be so much different than you just don't see figures with All Japan titles.
No.
And so that right there, I think, would be a big thing. And so we've been going back and forth on a lot of ideas and designs, and so that's what I'm hoping for next.
I think it'll be a perfect for you if you can just sort of reenact the moment from when you won the tag titles with that outfit. I think that would be.
Oh yeah, they could do the background card of us, with the streamers in Japan. The world, there's a million ways to do it.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah, I can sit here and think of stuff.
Yeah,
So,
I can imagine. As you said, when you're in the gym, you sort of the
oh yeah,
cogs are
I get
turning.
the music going, man, and I'm just thinking, okay, like, okay, this will be good, this will work, you know. It just, I don't know, just the way I operate.
Because you're thinking you got to have you be covering a few different fans, really, wouldn't you? Because you have the Japan fans, which sort of a massive following over there. WCW fans would be a big, and obviously the completists. We discussed completists quite a lot on our show, and people that want to have every single figure, all of the Nick
Yeah.
Aldis variants, as well as everything else. So you'd be covering a lot of bases there.
Yeah, and like even with the merchandise, like with the t-shirts and stuff, I designed, for example, a KroniK t-shirt, which is me and Bryan standing, and it's the Osaka. We've got the Osaka, where it's Osaka, Japan on the side. On top it says KroniK, and on the bottom it says breaking necks and cashing checks, because that was one of our catchphrases. But it's got the 2 All Japan trophies at our feet, and then there's a stack of money on one side and a stack of skulls, broken skulls on the other. So just stuff like that. I came up with that on my own, just throwing ideas around and different stuff. I do have one buddy of mine, Jonathan O'Dwyer. He's over in Ireland. He's my buddy, and we pitched some ideas back and forth. So he is very helpful too. There's no doubt about on some of the creative stuff that we've done. But the t-shirts at Pro Wrestling Tees in the US, and then at Wrestle Merch Central UK, just take a look, man. There's just such a catalog of all the stuff that I've put together, and it all looks really cool. I mean, this gym here, this shirt is great for just going to work out in. Wear it anywhere, man. Just all the stuff is, and it's great quality, thick material. It's not like it's just a
$2 shirt. No, I know what you mean. Yeah,
it's a nice thick. I mean, this is a good shirt, man. And then, like I said, but it's got all the cool designs on it. Really
yeah,
is.
I've seen the 3-man t-shirt, which is one I've got my eye on. So, I'm picking that up on next.
You mean the 3 Mile Island's favorite son?
That's the one.
That one?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's another one of my ideas. Yep.
That's before we come on, I had a look at that before we come on, so I think I might be ordering that as soon as we finish. So
well, get your Chella figure, and then if you really want some other cool stuff, I have an eBay store where I'm plugging stuff. I'll go ahead and plug this.
Yeah, you can plug away.
I have an eBay store, and it's all lowercase, all expenses. Adam Bomb as one word dash KroniK, KroniK, and that has a lot of pictures and stuff from Japan, US, 8x10s, posters. And while I'm talking about this, I'll go ahead and bring this up to for Marvel comic fans. I did a 2021 Adam Bomb photo and poster, and Tom Fleming did all the work on it. It was my idea and my concept, but he did all the work.
That's crazy, isn't it? Many fingers and many pies, Bryan.
We reconnected after 20-something years, and I approached him about, hey, what do you think about doing this? And it took him a while because he's so busy with all the Marvel stuff, but he worked me in, and it turned out amazing. Yeah,
that's awesome. I'll make sure I put a link to your eBay on there, as well as a full description.
Let everybody and like I said, even Pro Wrestling Tees has the poster. Both places have the poster. And hopefully when I get back over there, we can have some autograph signings. And as soon as the world calms down, I'm hoping.
Hopefully, yeah.
I've got stuff booked from now until December. I'll be at SummerSlam in a couple of weeks, but still things seem a little uneasy, you know. Yeah, but I got my hotel. They've got my flight, hotel, and everything taken care of. So
awesome.
Yeah, I'm doing a signing there with. If you check on my Facebook page, there's a lot of signing with a lot of the former stars. Booker T, Juventud Guerrero is going to be there. It's just a whole different cast of different people that just about everybody knows. New stars and older stars, some of both.
Oh, good to be. Because obviously we have a lot of conventions over here in the UK now. So there's like the For the Love of Wrestling, which is in Liverpool next year. A few Comic Cons and so on. So that fan interaction is so important because that's how you get more fans from people saying how nice of a person you were.
Yeah, and I enjoy it. I like talking with the fans. I spend a lot of my time interacting on social media, and it's just fun, man. I enjoy it. So
perfect.
Yes.
Our kind of guy. So always our favorite sort of wrestler to support is one that enjoys what he does.
And I do. Like I said, from everything from the designing of the merchandise to having input on the action figures and stuff. I've always got to have my hands on something. I'm like, because if it turns out bad, then I'm just like, I'll be disappointed. Just like, for example, the T-shirts, I go back and forth, like this. No, that's not right. That's not the right color I'm looking for. Whatever it may be, I just sort of hands-on on it.
Yeah, so. It's the best way to be.
Yeah.
As you say, no one said if it goes awry. So with
so if it's a crappy shirt, blame it on me.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
Give me the full go for it. So if we do a quick Q&A.
Absolutely.
Some of our listeners, some of our fans have been sending in questions for you just to cover a few bases. Luckily, we've covered some of them already, which is always good. But we can go through. So JJ, who's on one of the Facebook groups, has put basically, what's the worst gimmick that you think you've had to portray out of your whole career? What's the worst thing that you regret?
I've sort of been lucky. The Night Stalker was my very first one. It was in Smoky Mountain and a few other smaller areas. And I came up with that one. And then Adam Bomb, WWF, actually Tom Fleming is the one who came up with Adam Bomb, not Vince or their creative. Tom Fleming, the same guy who did my shirt I just talked about. But yeah, so those two, liked them both. And then even Wrath, both versions of Wrath, and then KroniK. So I've been lucky. I haven't
lucky.
Had I haven't had anything that, oh my God, I hate that. Now, there are some things with Night Stalker when I was very green. I was like, oh man, I need some work, But that's everybody's career. If you go through their history, they've learned and you got better and better and better. So yeah, I sort of got lucky on that, I think.
So a lot of your characters are they're cool, aren't they? With the word you use, I know it's not a good word to use since the '90s, but they're relatively cool, in with the times.
Or even cartoonish, like you said.
Yeah, Toy Egg.
There you go.
Toy Egg. Kev Boot has asked about the Henry Godwinn slop drop incident. Is there any truth in that rumor?
I don't know what the rumor is.
So apparently the rumor is that WWF, I think we've already squashed this, but apparently you released for Godwinn. Is that just a rumor?
I'm sorry, I lost. You started the question and then.
Oh, sorry. A slop to the face from Henry Godwinn. Apparently you refused to take it back in the mid-90s.
Well, he actually slapped me in the back of the head. I might have said, "Don't throw it in my face." But he still caught me in the back of the head, but it's no big deal. But I was already decided to leave even before that because of a few promises on merchandise items and things. I had something very similar to like a Slim Jim deal that was going to be for me, Adam Bomb, at the time, and he snatched that out from under me, and that was on the back of a couple of other things, and so I just said that was it. So. The Henry Godwinn thing,
just water off a duck's back.
I was gone anyway, but if that happened, I'd already made up my mind. Yeah.
Right. Okay. It wasn't the straw that broke the camel's back. Then essentially, no. It's So Wayne Pete has asked, who were your best friends and travel buddies back in the day? Obviously, we discussed Bryan Adams, but in WWF, who did you travel around with back then?
Up there, WWF, of course, WCW was Bryan, absolutely. And then as Wrath, I really traveled a lot by myself, which I just found it easier to, I could depend on myself to go, I'm going to find a gym, I'm going to find a good hotel, I'm going to find a good place to eat. Those are the things that you got to have when you're on the road for a long time. WWF, it varied. Billy Gunn at times, Pierre, PCO.
From the Quebecers.
Yep.
Yeah.
At times. So it wasn't, I didn't have one steady partner. Sometimes we just find out where we were flying into, and then we would just do a loop with them. And of course in Europe, we're on buses. So
yeah,
everybody, yeah. So it up there it varied, but like I said, in WCW it was Bryan, and then of course I did a little bit of lone wolf myself, yeah. Which sometimes is better that way because you're around the guys 24/7. So if you got to make a 300-mile trip by yourself, so be it. That's a little bit of re-energizing peace time, you know.
Yeah, so I know exactly what you mean. So it's nice to have a little bit of commute, isn't it, by yourself? A little, gather your thoughts, so to speak. So Clark, who's on the Legion of Hasbro group, he has asked, Clark Gilmore, he's asked, how do you feel about the way that the internet and social media has changed the relationship between wrestlers and their fans? He's then put from one Clark to another, just so you know. So yeah, how do you think that's changed? So obviously back in the 90s, you wouldn't have really had that social media.
Yeah, I think it has really opened it up, just like the media has opened up everything. But it allows access to, like, with you and I to sit here and have this conversation and talk about all the different things that, I mean, back then you would have had to have had a magazine article and read the article, and it may be 2 or 3 months behind. And, you know, I mean, this is just a lot easier. And to be able to communicate with you guys, and there you are in the UK, here I am in the US, and we're, you know, we're looking at each other and discussing merchandise and everything. So yeah, it's I think it's a positive. There's always going to be one guy who's a little bit too much of the yap. You know what I mean? In every group, and I'm a member of a lot of groups. There's always going to be just one. There's always going to be one. So you can have a room of 5,000, and there's going to be one guy.
One guy.
There's one guy that just needs to say, "Okay, shut it." You know, that's just the way it is, man. But 99.9%, man, it's good stuff.
That's always good to hear, because I think this the social media side of things is just taken off, obviously, with the likes of the cameo videos, and obviously you got the interaction through
and even like I just signed up like with PWTs. Now they have what's called doing a shoot session with me, and so I just got that started. But yeah, we're fans can call. We can talk about any and everything, basically. Whether even if it's just birthdays, anniversaries, or just want to talk about the business.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's pretty cool too. I didn't know they were going to do that, and but it's a good idea. Definitely.
Good revenue. Yeah, it's an extra bit of revenue for you guys, which is perfect.
It's a good market for them to add to all the other stuff they're doing with the micro brawlers. You know, all that stuff is coming up.
Adam Brom micro brawler. That'd be delightful. Because obviously, you didn't say that, but
I didn't say that.
You didn't say that. I'm procrastinating here, Mike Ryan.
I'm not saying it never happened.
No, just saying at the moment it's not. Yeah. So obviously you had the Bendham.
And I'll tell you, I'm very happy with those guys, and I think most people are.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you only ever hear good things about pro wrestling teams from anyone you listen to. So you had a Bendham back in the day, which wasn't released. Obviously, with the major pod guys releasing their new Bendham's style figures as well, there's a possibility for that. I'm not asking you for any exclusive here, Brian, but
Well, you told me that you watched that show? Is that right? You said that you watched.
I watched the full Hasbro episode. I watched. Yeah, I didn't watch the interview. I wanted to save you for me.
Okay. Yeah, so we touched on the Bendham thing, and then we talked off air about it because of I have my trademark and stuff. It's definitely a possibility. I'm absolutely open to it. Of course, I would like to have some input if I can. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I have here on my desktop all the stuff from the original design of the whole group, so I know exactly how they look and how the colors would go based off of what exactly what time period they're going with. You know what I mean? So I make it really correct.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am open to absolutely doing a Bendham. I think it'd be pretty cool, actually. I have a lot of people that ask me about the Bendham. It's a collector thing, but they love it, and so why not let them have it?
It's a very it's a line that sort of was very unappreciated for a number of years, and then recently it's come into light. So it's always good to see. Obviously, Phil Rapley has asked about the update on the KroniK tag team set, but we've already covered that, so that's always a
yeah, man. And that's like I said, I really want to. That's the next thing that I really in the line. That's maybe Wrath will come before that. I'm not sure, but I just think the timing would be if we could do it with those All Japan straps on that tag set.
That's the chef's kiss, isn't it? As they say.
Exactly.
Yeah. So thanks for that, Phil, on the question. So perfect. One question from me. We have a fantasy wrestling group on Facebook called the FWL 21. It's called. So it's sort of like fantasy football, where you obviously pick your team and you gain points from wins and losses, etc. Do you keep up to date with modern wrestling, modern day wrestling?
I do. Yeah. Yes. I'll even tell you one thing we're doing, and it's my buddy Jonathan. He runs a podcast called Pro Wrestling Defined, and I was one of the first people to do his show. Not one of the first, but one of the people to do his show. And he has made these gifts for me, Mm-hmm. And he's got one where he takes the football, you can see here, and he can make it where it throws where I'm throwing it out of the ring, which is actually me throwing it out of the ring, and it's like knocking people out and doing.
Yeah, seen those.
Yeah, so we just did one with where Titus O'Neil, when he tripped and fell under the ring.
The rumble.
So he did one where I've launched it and it goes and hits Titus in the back of the head.
Yeah.
Under the ring is hilarious. So yeah, we're definitely going to keep doing those because people love it. It's funny. It's funny. It's really funny. So yeah.
So I think that was the big thing back in the day, wasn't it? It was the Adam Bomb, middle of the ring, throwing the balls out. So it's good to see that you've reignited that, which is good.
Yeah, man. It was fun. The fans liked it. It was easy. And so, yeah, good stuff.
So yeah, if you had to pick 5 current day wrestlers to go into your team, who are you going for?
Current day.
So AEW, SmackDown, Raw, NXT.
Drew McIntyre.
Scottish. It's gonna be.
Absolutely. Sheamus.
Oh yeah.
I would have said Braun Strowman. I'm still saying Braun Strowman. Wherever he
ends up. I think we'll call him Adam now, haven't we? Braun Strowman. Yeah.
Those are 3 really good ones right off the top of my head.
I'd say Drew's always a solid pick because he's right at the top of the card at the moment, top of his game.
Yeah. And even Jinder. I like Jinder a lot. Both of those guys back when they were a band. But they really got things together right now. So, I'm trying to think of the current product.
So obviously you got obviously the likes of like Bobby Lashley's current champion, and obviously you got the AEW guys as well. Sting.
Bobby would be great too. He's got amateur background, of course. All of his professional. He's done a lot through his career, worked TNA and a little bit everywhere. So yeah, he'd be an excellent choice too. Yeah.
I imagine that team would be good for Blood Runs Cold, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, that would freeze the blood.
Yeah, I think
that's a team right there, man.
I think Ernest Miller wouldn't get a look in, would he?
Ernest Miller, man, come on.
He was good. I used to like him back in the day.
Oh
Ernest Miller.
yeah,
He was awesome.
We chat all the time. He's so funny. Yeah, we
I remember
always,
his 2004 run that he had very briefly in WWE. It was,
yeah. He was always real funny. Even as the WCW, they had him as the commissioner. He was real funny in that role too. And so yeah, we're good buddies. I got to see him back in May, actually, at an appearance over in right above Atlanta, there in Chattanooga, that area.
oh, okay.
So yeah, I got to see him and Dr. Tom Pritchard and the big guy that's in his name, I think it's Moose. That's right.
Oh yeah, and TNA in Impact.
Yeah. Impact. Yeah. And so I'd never met him. Just a few guys I hadn't seen in a long time, also. But yeah, it was it's cool. But yeah, there is definitely some talent, man. They just got to work on some creative angles that
yeah.
you can get with. I mean, there is some excellent talent out there right now.
That's good to hear.
And wait a minute. I mean, somebody's got to go off that list because I just remembered Lance Archer, the Murder Hawk, bro.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yep. He's got to get in there because that guy's 6'7", 280, 290, can do everything. That's a guy that needs to be pushed hard, in my opinion.
Well, he was in WWE for a very, very brief stint, wasn't he? Vance Archer.
Did nothing with him.
Nothing.
Another guy that they didn't do anything with. It happens. It happens a lot. It's happened to a lot of people. So yeah, I really like what he's doing and continues to do.
Yeah, I mean, truth be told, if you're paired with Jake Roberts, it's going to have some of that rub off on him, which is good.
Yeah, the ring psychology and those things. But I think he will move on from that and just be, because he to me, I don't think he needs a manager.
No, he just needs to come in, destroy, and leave.
Yeah, like he did in Japan.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of his stuff in Japan, and I'm thinking, okay, there's a little hint of Bruiser Brody in this. There's a little bit of Stan Hansen, and I'm huge fans of those two guys. But I can see it there, and he's fully capable of every bit of it. So that's why I say I think that he needs that continued push, like he's getting.
Oh, perfect. Because I think
that's my opinion.
Sure, yeah, in your opinion. So he's obviously currently the is it the IPGW, I believe, the US title holder.
Right.
So he's getting that push. I think he's had a few failed title shots, isn't he? But
well, yeah, but that's when the very beginning of the company, and that's going to happen.
Yeah,
we're testing the waters to see. I just think he's a guy that needs to stay in that top mix. You don't always have to have a title. You can still be in the top mix and be a top guy, and never have a title. It works out like that at times.
Yeah, I mean, look at Mr. Perfect we discussed earlier. He's never won the big one, but he's still one of the best that ever did it. So
absolutely,
it's crazy. So, Purpose, yeah, back on just to end things off with the Chella Toys again. Just the pre-order went live today, 7th of August. I picked mine up this morning, awesome. Right on the dot. Put a couple up. They're due out for release in March is when they're due for shipping. But
yeah, is that what they told you? Is that?
Yeah. Have you got inside info?
Well, I don't really want to say. I think they'll be earlier than that. I'm hoping because I want to see it too, of course.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be incredible.
So this is August. So, and what day did you say?
It's the 7th of August today. So that's the day in March 22. It's going to be released. So a good 7 months in the progress potentially.
I don't know.
Well, no, we'll wait and see. The Chella website says March.
Hey, if it's early, it's a surprise.
Hey, exactly. Shoot for the stars, as they say.
Yeah. And meanwhile, we can be working on KroniK or Wrath or whatever.
Doing all sorts.
Yeah.
But I think that's one of the exciting, because one thing we always discuss on the podcast is pre-orders and the beauty of pre-orders, and the best way to do them is how you guys have done it for this, is have pre-orders, or as many sell, make those figures from that. I get the limiting side of things, but it just opens up then to people scalping or going straight on eBay, whereas this option, everyone gets one. It's the best way to do a pre-order. So hats off to you guys, and hats off to Chella as well for doing it this way. It makes the most sense out of all the different ways.
I agree. I think that they are they're doing it the right way, and I'm glad to be a part of it. I'm glad that I chose them and they chose me, kind of thing, for us to work together, because I just think they're going to really be on the rise.
Yeah,
all this stuff.
They're getting their ducks in the line, aren't they? And they're really pushing for it. So that's good.
I would love to come over and do help push sales and any type of events or anything like that. I just think it would be a good PR move, and I'm happy to do it.
Oh, so. Perfect. Well, speak for Love of Wrestling next April in the UK, in Liverpool. Because I'd love to get one signed. So I'm guessing we'll be having these on your website available for signing and so on.
That part I'm not quite sure. I know that I'll get a certain number given to me. So I may just keep my personal ones for family and friends, kind of thing. I don't know if I will be putting my personal ones out there, but I'm sure there's a way that, if there is a way for me to do it, that I can move them on my sites through Chella, I'll be happy to do that. Yeah, if I can help, if it'll help, then yeah, sure, I'm up for that.
Lovely stuff. Well, end on the best note possible. Go and buy the Chella figure. What are you waiting for? It's the most toyetic figure since Adam Bomb in 1993 from Hasbro. What more could you want?
Yeah, it's very colorful, man, and it jumps off at you, just like the Tom Fleming work.
Yeah,
it's just a colorful nuclear explosion. Yeah.
Perfect. Obviously, make sure you check out all of Bryan's merch stores, his eBay store that we discussed earlier as well, Pro Wrestling Tees, Wrestling Merch Central UK as well, and anywhere possible, because let's get these Adam Bomb figures done.
Yep, and check out the eBay store, man. There's a lot of stuff that people, the Adam Bomb KroniK eBay, it has a lot of stuff that people, some really black and white 93 Adam Bomb photos and stuff that people have not seen in a long time. So yeah, there's some cool stuff there.
So, perfect. Yeah. Well, Adam, thank you so much for Adam. Bryan, what would you prefer to be called, Adam or Bryan?
I go by Bryan, but people call me Adam all the time. Adam? So, especially at events and stuff. So I'll go by either. Doesn't matter.
It's better than being called Night Stalker out in public, though, isn't it?
Yeah, that'd probably be like that'd be a little shady.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, Bryan, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it. It's been great having you on. It's been great discussing the Chella figure, and I can't wait for it to be released.
Awesome, man. Yeah, stay in touch, and like I said, when you get it, let me know, and I'll be happy to share it, and we can get the word out there.
We can make some music. Perfect. Well, thanks so much for your time, and speak soon.
All right, brother.
Thanks.